This is a brief and by no means comprehensive troubleshooting video of a no-start situation of a Homelite Easy Automatic Chainsaw model 10537. The serial number reveals that it was made in 1980, which is 44 years ago. It's been in a shed in Maine for the last 5 or 6 years. Not being used because it wasn't starting. I thought it was going to be a fuel issue. I poured out the old fuel that was in it, but it turned out to be a bad spark plug boot that wasn't making contact, so I wasn't getting ignition. So this video just shows a little bit of the process. It only took a few minutes and no money to fix, although I should put a new spark plug boot on it. I just wedged in the existing one where it was broken. So this is your repair video. I'm only taking apart the top end of the carburetor and spraying some cleaner on it, cleaning that part out. The chain is made by Stihl. It's a 3/8 pitch chain with 0.050 inches gauge. It's a 16-inch bar, 59 links, so an Oregon D59 fits it. The chain is at the end of its travel, but it's sharp, so it's probably been sharpened a few times before. So next time it gets dull, I guess we'll change that out. But other than that, it's starting right up, even though it's, I put in a 2-stroke gasoline from last year. I didn't have any fresh stuff, and it just is running wonderfully. So here's my repair video. Most small gas engine problems are fuel starve related, but it could be electrical, so rule that out first so you don't go on a wild goose chase. Take out the spark plug, jumper it between the ground by going right to the threads of where the spark plug goes in, and short that to the ground of the spark plug body itself, and then turn it on, give the starter a pull, and see if you've got a spark. Now that's not the end of the story. It needs a well-timed spark, but usually if there's an electrical problem, it's going to be no spark. So check that out, and if it has no spark, start with some obvious things like taking out the run-stop switch, testing it with a multimeter to make sure there's connectivity there. For the switch, test for continuity between the ground and the tab when it's turned in the on position. Also check the boot, make sure that there's good continuity there and that that is actually connected. If not, then your ignition problem is probably your ignition coil. But check the switch and check the connection at the boot there first. I drained out the old fuel. It takes a 2-stroke mix. The gasket is pretty shot, so might cut some new gasket material. Looks like about 1.5 inches or 34 millimeters on the outside, and you can use the outside rim of $0.25 for the inside as a template to make a new fuel gasket so it doesn't drip or leak. The muffler is loose for some reason. It's going to take a 5/8 socket to remove the chain and the chain guard. The bar is 16 inches, made by a Swedish company called Windsor, and the chain is a what's the pitch? 3/8 inch pitch Stihl with 59 links. The equivalent would be an Oregon D59, which is a $20 chain. The top cover reveals a fabric media filter, which you should be able to clean with some kind of solvent and then re-oil. Or if you get some bulk media, you could cut a new one using the old one as a template or the opening as a template. And there's the carburetor. We should be able to access it probably by taking these 2 bolts off. We'll find out in a second. With the filter cover bracket out of the way, I've got access to the carburetor top, which I popped off. I think I might just do a little carb cleaner there. There's some crud in that sediment filter right there in that cup, and the cover gasket material I might just clean this up first before I go through the work of getting that carburetor out of there. This might be easiest to do first, just to see how that goes. Alright, I cleaned out the top of the carburetor and put that back in. There's a missing screw and there was a loose screw in the exhaust port area, so I just tightened that up. I'll have to find a screw to replace the missing one. Interestingly, there's a couple of pressure plates here for the chain. Make sure you have those present and oriented properly. Let's just put this back together. Put a little bar oil on the chain and in the filler. Now we're just going to reinstall this still chain. It looks reasonably sharp, and it looks like a quality chain worth sharpening later. Okay, I just fired it right up. I think the problem was probably a bad connection at the spark plug with the spark plug wire, because the on-off switch tested good. I cleaned the top end of the carb. When I put the chain back on, I set it in the orientation so the cutting edge is facing forward at the top, so it's in the right direction for cutting. To start the thing, you're going to pull the choke out all the way if it's a cold start. You're going to press in the throttle all the way, and while it's pressed in, you're going to push in this tab to lock it in the throttle position, and as soon as it starts, you'll back off the choke at least halfway, and it should fire right up.